Good morning to all of you. We have gathered here to commemorate a very important historical event, the 200th anniversary of the arrival of immigrants from India, Pondicherry most specifically, to the island of Seychelles. And you know, the Indian diaspora has had a very good historian, a chronicler, V.S. Naipaul, Sir V.S. Naipaul. And it is through his writings that memory of the Indian migration has been woven into the gossamer thread of history. And we commemorate that in the morning. The High Commissioner and our acting Vice Chancellor and the statutory officer had paid tribute to that memory by laying wreath in the memorial that we have on our campus. So let us begin. A good morning to all of you. And may I request all of you to put off your mobiles, at least on silent mode, so that we are not disturbed during this very important event. As I just said a short while ago, we are gathered here in this convention center to commemorate, to honor, pay tribute to the memory of several generations of migrants who left these shores 2 centuries back to work in various plantations, industrial houses, jobs across the islands of the Indian Ocean. And Seychelles, of course, is one of the most pretty of those islands. And today we honor the memory, as I said, of that very, very important event. And one of the 5th generation descendants of the early settlers is here with us. And I think we are privileged to have him here. That is Mr. Ramu, who is here in the audience. Please, sir. Yes, sir. So with this warm words of welcome, I think we have to move on to the lighting of the lamp. The lamp signifies a very when we begin an auspicious occasion, it is with a lamp. We have lit the lamp and may the lamp shine bright. I thank all the dignitaries who have gathered here on this occasion with this very somber, memorable occasion. I thank you all. And now we move on to the next very important item on our agenda, honoring of the guests, the dignitaries who have come, spared their valuable time to be with us and give grace to this very memorable occasion. I request our Honorable Lieutenant Governor and Chief Rector of our university to honor His Excellency, the High Commissioner of the Republic of Seychelles. Our Registrar, Dr. Sashi Kantas, will now honor our Honorable Member of Parliament, Shri Radha Krishnan.
Very pleasant good morning to one and all. So it gives me a great pleasure to stand before you to welcome this excellent function that is being arranged by Pondicherry University and the Seychelles together with the High Commissioner now. So it is my pleasant duty to welcome all the dignitaries, and also our deans, students, all the members here, and also my friends. So now, to start with, I would happy to welcome our Honorable Lieutenant Governor, Kiran Bedi ji, and this is very active and dynamics, and in fact, we had yesterday about 2 hours of meeting in connection with our university campus water harvesting. We discussed a lot on those things yesterday. So we are very happy, madam, to welcome to this function. And we have His Excellency Philip Degal, the High Commissioner of Republic of Seychelles to India. And in fact, when we are discussing during our break time here, we discussed a lot on the Seychelles, the growth that has been taking place in Seychelles. And in fact, we have a first settler is here already being introduced by our Dean Rahotam. So we are very happy to have him here. And we are going to hear more about the Seychelles and the first settlers in the Seychelles. And then we have our MP, Lok Sabha, Radhakrishnan, and we are very happy to welcome here also, sir. And we have our registrar, Sashikant Dash, and registrar of our university, and then A.K. Prakash, which is our finance officer of our university, and our deans and faculty members, colleagues and staffs, and my dear students, all are assembled here for an excellent function today, which we will be commemorating the arrival of the first 5 Indian migrants, in particular first 5 Pondicherrians in the Seychelles. So since our Vice Chancellor is having some commitment at Delhi, so we are not in a position to have, he is not in a position to be here for the function because he has some ministry commitment. So, and he has given us the consent to go ahead with the function in spite of our effort to find an alternate date, but still we could not succeed. But it is good that we are able to arrange the function today itself. So I'm happy to know that our dignitary is going to give their felicitation address, and then the welcome, the special lecture or special address by our Commissioner, High Commissioner. And then Kiran Bedi ji is going to speak on the inaugural address. So these are all the programs which we have planned during this function. And I wish to spend a couple of minutes to say something about our university that has grown over this year of, say, from 1985 to so far. So now this university is now having 15 schools with the 2 community colleges and 55 departments. And we have 3 campuses, one in Karaikal, Mahé, and other one in the Andaman Nicobar. We have the 2 departments of our own at the Andaman Nicobar. And when it comes to the academics, we have the 54 master's program, 26 PG diplomas, and 17 certificate courses, and 10 5-year integrated programs, and totally something like 6,400 students and 360 faculty members right now in the enrollment. And when it comes to the research, we have 51 doctoral programs, and then 257 research projects, and then research publications, something like 4,887. And then we have a PhDs for the first 5 years, 1,020 is the number of PhDs, and then 44,351 is the citation, and then H&S, which are all qualifying the nature of the and quality of the work that has done in the university. We have 52 foreign collaborations. In addition to that, we have the big campus of 780 acres of the land, and then 4.57 lakhs library books, and then 37,000 journals, 22 hostels, and these are some of the facilities that is being established. And we have, particularly in the science, we have a state-of-art instruments that are also available in our campus. In fact, Madam visited, and she has inaugurated our high-resolution electron microscope some time back in our campus. So it is a great pleasure for me to be a part of this function, and then I would and once again invite this commemorating this function of the first 5 Indian migrants to Seychelles on behalf of our Vice Chancellor, Professor Gurmeet Singh, and on my own behalf, and as an acting Vice Chancellor and on behalf of the Pondicherry University. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Govindaraj, for a splendid welcome address. I now invite our Honourable Member of Parliament, a very dynamic and energetic Member of Parliament who has represented our Pondicherry with great distinction in the lower house of Parliament, the Lok Sabha. I now invite you, sir, Honourable Member of Parliament, Sri Radhakrishnan, to give the felicitation address.
Honorable Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, Dr Kiran Bedi, His Excellency, the High Commissioner, Seychelles, Mr. Philip Legal, the Acting Vice Chancellor of the Pondicherry University, Professor G. Govindaraj, the Registrar of the University, Mr. Sashikant Das, the Dean of the University, Professor Venkat Raghotam, Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Prakash, Dr. Hokub, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sai, the Honorary Consul of Seychelles in India here, in Chennai here. It is, in fact, a wonderful occasion here. We all gathered here to remember the historical linkage we have with Seychelles. It is almost 248 years since the arrival of the first Indians in Seychelles, and particularly the people of Indian origin originated from Puducherry. So that is the special occasion which we are commemorating here today. India has a long association with almost all parts of the world. The reason being, since we were colonized by the British and the French, a lot of our Indian citizens were taken abroad as farm workers. We had an excellent background in agriculture. Our farming was one of the excellent in the world. So our workers were taken across the world to be employed in other countries and to develop those countries. So India, in fact, has contributed indirectly to the development of many nations across the world. And my first trip abroad was one such, we had gone to the French territory called the Guadeloupe. It is in the Caribbean islands. So we were there to celebrate the 150th year of arrival of Indians there in Guadeloupe. So our Indian government had sent a delegation. I was part of the delegation. We opened a statue of Mahatma Gandhi there. And to our surprise, I think to my surprise and to the surprise of the delegation, we could see the people carried the names of the Indian origin. Even after 150 years, they were carrying the names which are more local here or which resemble with Puducherry. They had the name of Vaidalingam, Rangaswamy, Munuswamy, all that names they were carrying. But only thing, they did not have the traditions. They were not able to speak Tamil languages, but they were practicing religious rites, which was prevalent in those days. That was continuing. Language-wise, they had a problem because any language will thrive only if it has its economic or cultural importance. So if the language could help you develop economically or it gives a sense of culture, only then the language will thrive. So I think over a period of years, they have lost their touch with the language. The President of Seychelles, His Excellency, was there in India a couple of months back. And our Honorable President of India, Shri Ramnath Govindji, had hosted a dinner in his honor. And I was honored to be present in that dinner. And the gentleman seated by my side was His Excellency, the High Commissioner of Seychelles. And the President of Seychelles mentioned about his fondness for India and particularly for Puducherry. And the President has an Indian origin, so he has a lot of affection for our country. And in our discussion with this High Commission, then he said that, no, we have to carry forward this occasion. We have to bring back, revive the ties of Seychelles with Puducherry. So I think that will be a wonderful thing. Immediately, within a week's time, His Excellency was in Puducherry. Then he met all the dignitaries here, Madam the Lieutenant Governor and the Chief Minister and all the high officials here. And he managed to bring this program within a month's time. I think I should congratulate the High Commissioner for his effort. I think it will be long remembered. I think it was wonderful on his part to take such efforts to ensure that this program goes through smoothly. And in a couple of years, in 2020, it will be the 250th year. And they wanted to make this into a big occasion. So I think the President of the Seychelles also will be here to commemorate that. So within 2 years, this program will become an yearly event to commemorate the arrival of Indians in Seychelles. I think there are a lot of students here. I think they should be from the history or social studies background. I think history is a very important thing every student should learn, because your progress lies in learning history, not in current affairs or looking ahead. But people will think that by looking something advanced in technology, they may be progressing. But the progress of mankind lies when you read history, because you will understand more that most of the things which you experience now, it has already happened in history, and they have a solution there also. So I wish all the students of history here who are present here and who have taken keen interest to find out the ties between India had with other countries also well. And thank the university for organizing this function, and all the dignitaries who have come from Seychelles. The president of the Indian Association in Seychelles is already here. There's a delegation. I welcome all of them and congratulate once again everybody for making this program a grand success. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member of Parliament, for the wonderful words with which you have encouraged us, and particularly grateful for the way in which you remembered our discipline of history. It is indeed the fountain of wisdom. I thank you, Honourable Member. And now it's time to move on to the special address by His Excellency Philippe de Gaulle, who is the High Commissioner of the Republic of Seychelles in India, stationed in New Delhi. He was here, as our Honourable Member of Parliament had said, a month back when he met Professor Gurmeet Singh, our Vice Chancellor, and we started this process of putting together the program that you are witnessing here today. His Excellency Philippe de Gaulle, the High Commissioner, he is a very experienced diplomat. He has served in the diplomatic corps of his country, the Republic of Seychelles, in a number of countries in Asia: Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Singapore, and the Philippines. He has been Ambassador Extraordinaire and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Seychelles to the People's Republic of China, and was also accredited to Japan, Philippines, Thailand, Korea, Laos, Vietnam, Malaysia. And he has also been, because of his rich experience in the field of diplomacy, he has also been the special advisor to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of his country. And he was also the advisor to the Minister of Local Government, Sports and Culture, Education, Information and Culture. We are honored here in Pondicherry University by your presence. I request you, Your Excellency, to give your special address.
Excellency, Lieutenant Governor, Honorable Member of the Parliament, Acting Vice Chancellor, Honorary Consul of Seychelles in Chennai, Chairman of the Indian Association of Seychelles, distinguished professors, dear students, and all friends of Seychelles, good morning. Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank Lieutenant Governor Kiran Bedi for having so kindly accepted to be here today, in spite of your very busy schedule, Madame. Merci beaucoup. Then I have words of thanks for the Vice Chancellor, Professor Gurmeet Singh, and for the Acting Vice Chancellor, Professor Govindaraj, and for the team, especially the School of Social Sciences and International Studies, headed by Professor Venkata Rangutam. Thank you very much for your warm welcome, for your hospitality, and the proactive way in which you accepted to help us organize this first Journée du Souvenir Pondicherry, Seychelles. And special thanks to Assistant Professor Paokolal Aokip, who will speak later. I am also thankful to the Member of the Parliament for the state of Puducherry, who was the first one I briefed on this project. As you rightly say, Honorable, it was during the state banquet hosted by the President of India on the occasion of my President's visit. And you were also the first one to show support to this initiative. Thank you very much. I will say thank you to the Honorary Consul of Seychelles, as he has done so much, indeed so much, Mr. Sai, to help the High Commission and the Indian Association of Seychelles to organize this event. I also want to express my gratitude to the President of the Indian Association of Seychelles, Mr. Ramakrishnan Pillai, who is with us with a delegation from my country. Thank you for being here with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, before sharing my comments with you, I would like, in my capacity as High Commissioner of Seychelles to India, to say how sad I am because of the disaster having just happened in Kerala, and I would like to pay a tribute to all those who are helping the families of the victims. Dear students, as you know, we are gathered here today to mark 240 years since 5 Indians from Puducherry reached Seychelles as part of the first group of settlers, and this being the very beginning of our historic and emotional connection. In fact, these 5 Indians, they didn't arrive out of the blue. I think it all started 2 years earlier, in 1768. This is 250 years now. On that particular year, a vessel, a French vessel, sailed from Puducherry to Seychelles, and the purpose was to collect timber for the shipyards in both in Mauritius and in Puducherry, and also to collect some tortoise meat, as it was a very important source of protein at that time. And the ship surveyor, a gentleman named Brayer du Barret, went on shore, and he saw something absolutely extraordinary. He saw a tree, a legendary tree called the Coco de Mer. I have brought here a seed of the Coco de Mer. With your permission, I will go in front and take it to show it to all of you.
Yes.
This one is quite small, and because the real one, I mean not the real one, the big one, can weigh up to 20 kilos. Brayer du Barret, the gentleman I just mentioned, collected 30 of these Coco de Mer to bring back to Puducherry and sell in Puducherry. Till then, the origin of this Coco de Mer was quite mysterious, and the official name was Lodoica maldivica, because the people thought that it originated from the Maldive Islands, but in fact it is endemic to Seychelles. And it was known for centuries, maybe even thousands of years, in China, in different parts of the world. And what I have shown you was valued a fortune. Trust me, or if you want, but up to 50 lakh. It was considered as a treasure. And the following year, in 1769, another ship came from Puducherry. And the purpose of the trip was to find out the exact position of Seychelles. And they realized that sailing from Puducherry to Mauritius, then called Île-de-France, via Seychelles, was a shorter route than the old traditional Portuguese maritime routes of the time. And during that second visit, they also collected a lot of coco de mer to sell in Puducherry and also in France. And I read that the hold of the vessel was full of coco de mer. Then the following year, the ship surveyor that I mentioned earlier, Brayer du Barret, organized the first human settlement in Seychelles, including the 5 Indians to whom we are paying a tribute today. Since then, the Indian community started growing, and after the first laborers, traders, masons, and carpenters which came from Pondicherry and South India, but there were also some Sipahis who were stationed in Seychelles during the French period, as the French were considering that Indian soldiers were much better than French soldiers to keep their possessions. But the point is that the role played by the first 5 Indian settlers was forgotten. History, as you all know, is by definition full of oversight. In 1901, for instance, Mahatma Gandhi spent 3 weeks in Mauritius. He was not supposed to spend 3 weeks there. He was on his way to Colombo, then there were problems with the ship, and they changed the route, and after 3 weeks they left for Mumbai. But the visit of Mahatma Gandhi was forgotten during 50 years, maybe because of the 2 world wars, and it is in the 1950s that the Mauritian rediscovered that Mahatma has traveled and spent some time there. And in fact, it's the same in Seychelles, you know. The role of the 5 first Indian settlers and those who followed was forgotten for a very long time. And it is thanks to NGOs like the Indian Association of Seychelles who revisited the past of the island and realized that there was a duty to remember the contribution of Indian founding fathers. And please allow me to say that maybe to some extent this founding episode was also forgotten in India and in Puducherry, and this is the reason why we decided, with the support of the Indian authorities and with also the very precious assistance of the University of Pondicherry, we decided to mark this event, to turn it into an annual celebration with a bigger event actually in 2020, when we will mark the 250 years I was referring to earlier. So once again, I would like to thank all our distinguished guests and the University of Pondicherry, And I would like to thank you also, dear students, for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for the very inspiring words. I think the relationship between the Republic of Seychelles and the Republic of India will certainly find fruition in the years to come. We hope and pray that your best wishes come true. Thank you, Your Excellency. Now I invite our Honorable Lieutenant Governor and Chief Rector of our university, Dr. Kiran Bedi, to give her inaugural address. I would like to say a few words by way of introduction, by way of introducing her, but as you all know, as you all know, she has been the chief rector of our university, and she was instrumental in launching the Swachh Bharat program, which was very successful in Pondicherry, and her inspiring example has set the pace not only for Pondicherry administration but also for our university. She has led a very illustrious life, a very inspiring life. She was the first woman to have joined the Indian Police Service and served with distinction in a number of senior capacity. She is also awarded a very prestigious Raman Magsaysay Award, and she has been advisor to the United Nations on police matters relating to policing and police organization. And in addition to all these very accomplishments in her official career, she has also got a law degree, so she is a lawyer as well, and a PhD from the Indian Institute of Technology, New Delhi. It's a very accomplished officer, administrator, and here in Pondicherry she has served with such distinction that we would like to remember that on this occasion her contribution to the affairs of our university. In addition, she has been running a number of NGOs and participating very actively in the civil organization and civil life of our Pondicherry. So I deem it a great honor to welcome you on behalf of our university, madam. But before she formally addresses, I have been instructed by my registrar that there is a slight change in the program, and so Professor Hokip's historical narration will precede her address, if that is okay by you, ma'am.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, Honorable Lieutenant Governor Dr. Kiran Bedi, His Excellency Philippe Legault, Honorable MP R. Radhakrishnan, and Professor Govindaraj, the Acting Vice Chancellor, and of the dais, senior colleague from the university, guest faculties, my dear students. Abraham Lincoln once observed, all men can withstand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. Thank you, Professor Gurmeet Singh, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, and Professor Venkata Ragodam, Dean, School of Social Science and International Studies, for providing a strong leadership and example of your intellectual life and the voracious appetite for knowledge, which is admired by all. History is more than a path left by the past. It influences the present and can also save the future. Several hundred years ago, quite a good number of Puducherrians migrated from the shore of Coromandel and Malabar to the present day what would have become Mauritius, La Réunion, and Seychelles. To begin with my presentations, I quote the first President of the Republic of Seychelles, J.R. Mancham, on 29 June 1976, his poetic evocation to the people. This unique blend of races, ambassador of all culture, mirror, representative of all color, the melting pot of ethnical prejudice, the fusion spot of every civilization. His Excellency, the High Commissioner of Republic of Seychelles, India, Monsieur Philippe Legault, and Honorary Consul Monsieur Sai, and some of the delegates from Seychelles, I feel honored and privileged to narrate the historical connections between Puducherry and your country, but in the process, correct me if I'm wrong in between. So, as I said, just to begin with, this is the map of Seychelles in the Western Indian Ocean island, and then within the continent of Africa. And now to begin with, let me make it some interesting facts. The Republic of Seychelles consists of around 115 islands, and the major island being Mahé, Brasla, Ladik, and altogether the land mass constitute somewhere around 459 square kilometers. The West Indian Ocean region historically has played a very important role in the commercial network of the European community, particularly Britain, France, and Dutch, as well as the Portuguese. Till the construction of the Suez Canal in 1869, the Mascarene Island, commonly known as this region, Seychelles, and Mauritius, and of course La Réunion, were known as what we call the rest house, or more or less like what we call a motel. So the strategic importance of Seychelles, of course, a lot of historians has claimed, but nevertheless, let me remind you that though the credit have often been given to the Portuguese navigator Vasco da Gama, who arrived actually in the 15th century, but I must tell you that it was actually the Gujarati merchants, the Chinese, and also what we call the Malays, who have already traded around these regions. And for your information, another interesting factors. These places, or perhaps the place where the Chinese has already traded, actually provide informational base for the Portuguese to build up the commercial empire, with its nodal point stretches to the center that is often frequented by Chengho or Sanbao, or also called Mahé, like Comoros, and also Calicut, Zanzibar, and so on and so forth. As I have indicated, mankind did of course sighted this beautiful island for a long time, when actually the first house, the houses of timber and thatch, went up on Saint Anne Island in the Mahé's fine harbor in 1770. Yes, it was in fact the Arab's manuscript of 851 Common Era that referred to Seychelles as the land beyond Maldives Island. That was the first census, and the Portuguese followed to make a definitive indications of these regions during his second voyage to India via Mozambique in 1502 and called it Les Amirants. In 1517, the Portuguese, keeping the name Les Amirants for the Coral Island, and they completely dubbed the rest of the island, or the granitic island, as Seven Sisters. That is how the historiography of Seychelles country unfolds. Then, secondly, the English ship on 19th January 1609, called the Ascension, was separated from the fleets, and it was captained by Sir Page, and also another co-passenger, John Jordan, an agent by the EIC, specifically meant to negotiate for the trade with India, and they landed at Mahé. A lot of books and authors have quoted these instances. If you permit me, Sorry, if you permit me. So, on 19th January, I'll quote 1609, they came across perhaps the first written district of island, a cluster of islands which they took to be Amirons. It is clear, however, that they were in reality the group known as Seychelles. And we have here a hitherto unnoticed British visit to the island. They were then unpeopled, and the wearied mariner were glad to spend 10 days in security and comfort at so delightful a spot where fresh water, fish, fowls, and fruits of every kind abounded. In the enthusiastic word of the boatswain, this island seems to us an earthly paradise, and thus unconsciously forestalling late General, the British Army General Gordon, who seriously maintained that the Garden of Eden was here, and this cocodume was the forbidden fruits. That's how the narration goes on. But the turning point in the history of Seychelles, correct me if I'm wrong, came in 1735, when Berdefonso Mahe de la Bourdonnais was appointed the governor of Ile-de-France, that is Mauritius, whose primary duty was to protect the sea route to India. La Bourdonnais, feeling the strategic locations of Seychelles, commissioned Lazare Picou in 1742 to chart out the island northeast of Madagascar. On 21st November, Elizabeth and Charles were anchor of Mahe at Anse Boileau and named it Île du Bondons because of its plentiful natures and all the wildlife that they had. Since the governor found Picou missions a little bit unsatisfactory, then he sent it again in May 1744, this time anchoring off the northeast coast near the present-day Victoria, and rechristened the island as Mahe, and the archipelago, the whole island, as Île de la Bourdonnais, after the governor's names. And Picou, in June, en route to India, he visited the second largest island, named Isle de Palm, later renamed as Praslin, after Duke de Praslin, the first Lord Admiralty under Louis XV. Although La Bourdonnais was very much enthusiastic in his mission, but in fact his attention was driven off when he was summoned to India to deal with the Anglo-French rivalry. Then René Magon de Villeboc was appointed as the governor of Ile-de-France, that is Mauritius. In 1756, sensing the problem between the British and the French, he argued that we have to occupy this island permanently. Therefore, he commissions under Colonel Nicolas Morphy with a ship called Le Cerf, anchor of Mahe on 9 September. After a thorough investigation of the island, then he hoists the French flag and take in the name of the king, and he declared this island as Seychelles in compliment to Juan Viscount de Seychelles, the then control of finance under Louis XV. Though the end of 7 Years' War comprehensively reduced the status of the France in Canada and India, the importance of Seychelles as a strategic route was recognized in 1768 by Grenier and Rochon, a gifted naval and also a distinguished astronomer, which can actually replace the old route founded by Vasco da Gama via Maldives. And then this is the quotations, which is actually in France. I assume I could read, but pardon me if I made a mistake. Cette song, 1769, Guéné et Rochon, il ressemble raconter une nouvelle route des Andes qui le permettait de préciser la position du Puducherry dans l'archipel de Seychelles en particulier. So correct me if I can spell it well, but that's how the French text goes on, and it was also quoted by several texts like Voyage de Madagascar and Oriental, published in Paris in 1791. So that's how the importance of Seychelles has been relocated. And the most important point came when Baya Dubarre, in fact a former minister, was invited by Pierre Poivre, the person who introduced spices in Seychelles, was invited to make a settlement in Seychelles. Poivre organized a settlement plan, and it was actually on 12 August, which I also mailed to His Excellency Philippe Legault for some verifications, that it was on 12 August 1770 with 15 white colonists, 7 slaves, 5 Indians, also called Malabals, and 1 African woman called Marie boarded the ship called Telemaque, set sail from Isle de France, that is Mauritius, and arrived on the island 14 days after, that is 27 August, and 1770. That's the reason why we all gather here today. And the 5 Indians, or the Malabals, are Shari, Moutu, Minate, Corinthi, and Domas. Somewhere it is written differently, but this is the archival material, so we should not dispute. Then these are the materials which His Excellency, when we were corresponding. And the second period actually comes right before this one. We have in 1790, where the island of Seychelles settler constituted an assembly trying to disallow any person who comes from outside. For instance, Ramalingam, a person from La Réunion, till today I have not traced from the archive nor from some of my friends, was sent to Seychelles, who was actually opposed on the pretext that he has not occupied. Then the indentured laborers started in the contract agreement, and it actually, there was a lot of negotiations between the colonial masters and the British government in India, but the first affected from Mumbai presidency, where Khan Abdullah Khan was the first indentured assigned, the one who assigned. And after that we have in 1904 and 1905 a ship called Etria, who came from Madras presidency, and we have 135 indentured laborers for a contract. And I may also tell you that when the British Seychelles became the crown colony, we have already had a lot of businessmen like Abdullah Chetty, K.C. Govindasamy, R. Ismail Jafar and Co., John Mott, Jivan Hamir, Kandasamy and Co., Mir Wangi, Sion and Co., Naidu, RT and Co., Naiken, KSK Naiken, SRK Pillai, extra. So the reason why they are called assistant primary, because the Gujarati has different sorts of business. They will come down, settle in Mauritius, and then they will send somebody to look for business opportunity. That's the reason why they were called assistant. They actually settled, but they moved from Seychelles again to South Africa because they were more into Madagascar and La Réunion. This is the basic historiography which I can tell. And thank you so much. Thank you for your patience.
And now comes the moment that we have all been waiting for, the address by our very respected Lieutenant Governor of Pondicherry, Puducherry, Her Excellency, Honorable Dr. Kiran Bedi.
Thank you, friends. We welcome a High Commissioner from Seychelles. We've had an opportunity to meet him at Rajdivas a few weeks ago. Honorable Member of the Parliament, faculty from the university, students and friends. I have 2 ideas to share, taking this conversation forward, rather than repeating anything which has been said before, is 2 things. One is that just as we have the non-resident Indian Pravasi Bharat coming together, it's great success. I believe it started from the Atal Bihari Vajpayee time. I remember, unless earlier, I may be wrong, but I do recall that that's the time when it picked up as a momentum, even if the idea was earlier there. But it's become a major movement where Indians from all over the world look forward to this annual congregation of non-resident Indians, the Pravasi Bharat Divas. I think it's happening again in January, which has brought Indians from across continents together. I think there's a case for another coming together. So I'm just taking, it's an idea for our Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Member of the Parliament, is to create a system called Persons of Indian Roots, called the Persons of Indian Roots, PIRs. I think we can have Persons of Indian Roots, because we have, if you see research, if you see records, if you see Wikipedia, Indians have spread all over, much before the French or the British took us across, particularly a lot in the Caribbean, as our Honourable Member Parliament, Mr. Radhakrishnan said. And taking them to Caribbean was a lot linked with sugarcane fields. When the Africans start to get to be withdrawn or not available, Indians went to to these routes. I have come across many of such countries which have Indian domination routes during my time at the United Nations. So therefore, it's time, while we have the Indians rooted in Caribbean, we have a lot of them in Africa, and Seychelles is one such example. We have them. So why not have a case for Persons of Indian Roots as an annual event? Now, what should be that day? That roots would mean they may not be, obviously they're already French. Now I'm talking of pre-World War II, because a lot of migration happened pre-World War and immediately on World War, and then came later the partition times, people migrated. So, but pre-World War II, the 15th century, the 16th century, the 14th century, when Indians were being spread out to the world, the Caribbeans and the Africans, Asians as well, I think it's a case for why not study it? Why not do a little paper? The university, that's my third idea, suggestion is that how about this same department, and you're the professor of that, how about doing a full study on this and go back to the first Indian, which first country he or she went, where did they go, for what did they go? Let's trace the route. It's be interesting history for all of us to know which is that first country where the first Indian went. That could be the date and could be the name. I think we don't know this. Do we know it? Do we know it? It's an area for research. And these universities are meant exactly for this, to fill in the gaps in the Wikipedias. You know, Wikipedia doesn't give us. Wikipedia only tells you where all Indians went. But Wikipedia doesn't tell you where it went first. It only tells you very little information. So I think we owe it to this Indian School of Social Sciences as a study to find out who went where and for what. That could be the date, it could be the name. Now, I'm calling it the Persons of Indian Roots would be bringing people together from Caribbean, from Africa, from other countries, Asia, wherever they were. But I think the older settlers would be Africa, and that's why you have people in Zambia, you have people in Uganda, they were all there. And of course thrown out also for certain political circumstances, but they are there. Therefore, Mauritius is full of Indians and speaking Hindi as well. So I think we need to go back, even Guyana, the Caribbean islands, of course, I've mentioned. So I think it might be a considered idea. Which is the date? We need to decide. Let Pondicherry University contribute to this research, take this up as a research project and narrow down the countries and offer, and our Honourable Member of the Parliament could make this suggestion to the Government of India to look at, where obviously Puducherry would be a gainer as well, because it will mean assembly of all nations, almost, that was what, and then we revive these roots. We nourish these roots. We look at their culture, let them come and perform their own music, the language. So maybe we just, English may still be a unifying language, we don't know. But then we come back to the Indian culture, we reintroduce them to Indian culture, and I'm sure somewhere the features would be still Indian, because features will not go through the DNA, it will keep traveling. It will be worth the research. It will be a great idea. So maybe this High Commissioner and the Seychelles event leads us to the next step. I think every event is for a reason. Take you to the next step. What is the next step? Next step is tracing, bringing Indians of Indian roots, right? So if we do that, I think it will be maybe about, and all the more reason because India is an old civilization. We are one of the older civilizations compared to Europe and the United States. While when they may not have been there, we were there. Like the Egyptian population, the Romans. So I think we need to go back to our roots and reconnect through our roots and bring our children of the next generation and link them back with India for whatever. And this will never go because Indian roots, if the faces show, the DNA travels for centuries together. So I thought while welcoming a High Commissioner and appreciating the kind of island Seychelles is, it's a favorite place for Hollywood destination. I do not know which movie did we last shoot in Seychelles. Seychelles has been a remarkable destination for many of our movie songs and Bollywood films because it's one of the most beautiful place for Virgin Islands. It is, and interestingly, it has a matriarchal society where the man provides for the family rather than the woman. Am I right? Oh, safe country to go to. Very safe country. We should. So is the answer on crimes against women to make this society matriarchal? I don't know that. But it's a matriarchal society and I was reading about its prison system. It's got higher number of women prisoners than men. So it's very strange. It's an interesting country of its own kind of culture. So my friends, I think every event leads us to the next stage and maybe Puducherry could take this up as a project to research and then come up with an answer and go back and let the government know. Thank you very much for this topic.
Thank you, Honorable Lieutenant Governor and Chief Rector of our university for that splendid address. I think Pondicherry University will certainly take up the call and we will address this issue of Indian diaspora for two reasons. One, it is historically very important, as you have rightly said, Your Excellency, and also because we have to pay tribute to the chronicler of all of the Indian diaspora, Sir Vidya Noipal, who chronicled the passage of Indians to different parts of the world. Mostly he wrote about the Caribbeans, but there are some stray references to Seychelles as well. So we will carry this project forward, and I think our Vice Chancellor would certainly be very keen to see this come to a very logical end. Thank you. Without the support of my colleagues, I start with my colleague, Dr. Kumresan Raja, and I'm always refer to him using the word of our Honorable Prime Minister. I think that's the highest praise one can give to anyone. He's a Kamdar. Without his support, nothing would have been possible. So I salute him for making this possible. Dr. Kumresan Raja, he is here, and he has helped me at every step of the way. Then my colleague in the school, in HRDC, Dr. Panch Ramalingam.
Namaskaram. Can we all do that? Namaskaram. Right, awesome. So now is the time to honor all the dignitaries on the dais. So I have some off the dais also. So, but to start with, I thought I'll call all the names and I request Pillai to come forward also, sir. So the main connection is great grandfather and Pondicherry. So give him a good applause, please. Thank you. So it's about 5 generations since the first person from Pondicherry left to Pondicherry and settled in Seychelles. So his great-grandfather must have been one of the first person, I guess. To start with, all the people on the dais are very simple. For example, I could see the Lieutenant Governor in one of the TV shows yesterday. I saw that she was going in a cycle, right? The second one is we have the Member of Parliament who uses a normal phone. He doesn't have a smartphone. Give him a good applause. And all the dignitaries from the university are so simple. I am flabbergasted with your hospitality, right? I am really flabbergasted with your hospitality, and I wish I could settle in Pondicherry. Now, all the students, could you say positive? Lift your hand, say positive. Only the students, please. Positive. Once more. Right. When I ask a student, every car has a brake. Why a car has a brake? One of the students said, the car and the brake is for you to stop. I said, no. If there are no brakes in the car, you can't imagine to go faster. Right? So I actually would like to congratulate the Vice Chancellor, though he is not present here. From somewhere, he's been controlling the whole university, and he put brakes on everything, not because he wants you to stop, but because you can go faster in today's function. So give him a good applause wherever he is. A great applause, Lift your hands up and give him a good applause, please. Thank you. Right. So we have the professor. He's a ticked mark checked. Ticked mark checked and checked mark ticked. So when I go, I have to be very prepared. Otherwise, I fumble up everything. So we have certain diplomacies and protocols, and he has his own protocols. So I need to, connect both of them. And for that, I needed one Mr. Raja. So come forward. Without him, that connection wouldn't have happened. Thank you, Mr. Raja. And we also have a student, and Rohit Unikrishnan, could you raise your hands and get recognized? Thank you. So we have Mr. Gondraj sir, I don't want to go, and we have Mr. Prakash sir, and we have the Vice Chancellor sir, and I would like to also recognize, sir, please get recognized, Mr. Mahesh. He is responsible for the press today, and he's done a great job. And I also would like to recognize Philomena and Franklin. Please get up there, the two people from Delhi office. Yes, and we have, our Pillai, who would like to say a few words both in Creole and in Tamil. Thank you.
Bonjour Pondicherry, the Lieutenant Governor, Madam Kiran Bedi, His Honorable Member of Parliament, His Excellency, our Ambassador, Mr. Philippe Legal, His Excellency, our Honorary Council, Mr. Sai, Protocol Observer, distinguished guest, student, my colleagues, my delegation from Seychelles, Banapo Mijiako. Good afternoon. காட்சிக்கலியேன் கடுஞ்சொல்லான் அல்லேல் மிக்கூறும் மன்னன் நிலம் காண்பதற்கு எளியவனாகவும் கடுஞ்சொல் இல்லாதவனாகவும் ஓர் அரசன் இருப்பானால் அவனது நாட்டை உலகத்தவர் உயர்வாக கூறுவார். வள்ளுவரின் வாய்மொழிக்கிணங்க ஆட்சி நடந்து வரும் இந்தியா, சீஷெல்ஸ், இன்று புதுச்சேரி என அழைக்கப்படும் அழகிய காலனி உலக நாடுகளால் பேசப்படும் ஒரு சிறந்த மாநகர் சிசல்ஸ் நாட்டில் செயல்பட்டு வரும் இந்தியன் அசோசியேஷன் ஆஃப் சீஷல்ஸ் இருந்து இந்த பாண்டி மண்ணிற்கு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் செட்டிலர்ஸ் டே என்கின்ற கூட்டத்தில் தலைவராக பங்கேற்பதில் மகிழ்ச்சி அடைகிறேன். எங்கள் செஷல்ஸ் நாட்டை பற்றிய ஒரு சில வார்த்தைகள் உங்களுடன் பகிர்ந்து கொள்ள விரும்புகிறேன். நீர் வளமும் நிலவளமும் மிக்க எங்கள் செஷல்ஸ் நாடு இந்து மகா சமுத்திரம் இந்தியன் ஓஷன் நீர் வளமும் நிலவளமும் மிக்க எங்கள் செஷல்ஸ் நாடு இந்து மகா சமுத்திரம் ஆகிய பசுமை நிறைந்த மலைகளால் அரண் போல காட்சியளிக்கிறது. எங்கள் செஷல்ஸ் நாடு நல்ல உள்ளங்கள் கொண்ட உள்ளதால் எங்கள் நாட்டில் எந்த ஒரு விஷ ஜந்துக்களும் இல்லை. சீஷல்ஸ் பிரான்ஸ் கட்டுப்பாட்டிலும் ஆங்கிலேய கட்டுப்பாட்டிலும் இருந்த காரணத்தினால் எங்களுடைய மக்களுக்கும் எங்களுக்கும் பிரெஞ்சு மொழியிலும் ஆங்கில மொழியிலும் எந்தவித தங்கு தடையின்றியும் பேசக்கூடிய ஒரு எளிய வாய்ப்பை இந்த பிரெஞ்சு கவர்மெண்ட்டும் ஆங்கில கவர்மெண்ட்டும் எங்களுக்கு ஏற்படுத்தி கொடுத்திருக்கிறார்கள். இந்த நாள் மிக முக்கியமான நாள் எங்களுக்கு சீஷல்ஸ் மக்களுக்கு. இன்று சீஷல்ஸுக்கு இந்தியாவிலிருந்து 5 புதுச்சேரியை சார்ந்த மக்களும் 7 ஆப்பிரிக்கர்களும் 15 பிரான்ஸ் பீப்புள்களும் இன்று எங்களுடைய நாட்டிற்கு வந்த நாள். ஆகையால் மிக்க சிறப்பான நாளாக நாங்கள் கருதுகிறோம். This occasion from the Indian Association of Seychelles we already started for 4 years back. I need to thank our His Excellency to make it to in Pondicherry. Like our Excellency said, a lot of people start forgetting our histories. Especially our Indian history is neglected by the lot of places. But I think we need to be work together. Which way maybe we can make it remarkable. Is make me like that Indian Association of Seychelles. Every year we do it in the same day, but because of our Excellency, I done it for last week, 17th August. In that 17th August, we already organizing one research committee for who is that Indians come to Seychelles. Like even that names is already name it is not a real name of our Indians because it's already changed in the way of foreign the French and another thing. But we will be work together with the university. I think that professor has done a very good job, but we will help him. Apart from that, we have a lot of things we need to be researched. We need your people help. We need to be remarkable. What do you mean Seychelles? The Seychelles has got a lot of things. Maybe you need to be visit. It's not a big expensive country. Maybe it will be expensive country for the Europeans and maybe another people. For your people like you, like our Indians and Tamilians and Pondicherry people, we will be here. We'll take care of you. We will tell you soon. 2020, we will come with a big delegation because it's going to be a 250 years. At least we will come more than 50 delegation with my president from Seychelles. With our delegation, will come to do a good road show in Pondicherry. The same thing, I give an invitation to the Puducherry people and the professors and the delegations in the university. Please, we will be work together in Seychelles also. This is the open invitation, but we will be work together. Which way maybe we can, at least we know what is the truth. Now the truth not come easy. We need to be work very, very strongly to get the thing. Thank you very much for the big opportunity to get that in this university to give a small lecturer. But I tell you, he's already research. We have something like people say in Seychelles. This Sri Hanuman faith is in Seychelles, but we don't know by history. But we know that we already visit that place. But we haven't got anything history and writing. But more historical things in Seychelles. We need people like you to come to research. But we are the business people. but we'll talk, but we'll do social work. But when we go to place, when start our business, we'll forget everything. But research people, we're ready to help your people to come to research in Seychelles. Thank you very much for everybody. Thank you very much.
I request Hon'ble Lt to release the magazine of Indian and Seychelles and hand over the first copy to the Member of Parliament, Mr. Radhakrishnan.